If you go to the Cairo International Stadium, you know that you cannot train on the pitch. The teams that come away games, all they can do is to go and walk around the pitch just to familiarize themselves with the pitch, and then they don't train on the pitch. That's how they've isolated pitches to deal with this. But in Ghana, we failed. And everybody should take the blame. Yes, you know what? The NDC can say, okay, you people are in power. And the NPP will say, oh, it's not us and we can't do that. But hey, you are in power. You have to do something. But in trying to neutralize the NDC, then people will say, you know what, in 2003, we're the ones who gave invitation to Frank Boyne to come and help fix pitches in the country, even before we hosted CAN 2008. So at least we're the ones who were dealing with pitches, and we had foresight in dealing with the pitches. But who wins at the end of the day? Like the Galamsey fight. Who wins? Nobody's winning. We're all losing. I think I'll just end here.
Yeah.
For the rest.
Yeah. So we're going to go around the table, and then after that, we'll just zoom in on boxing a bit, and then we come back to the practical solutions that we're looking at. Let me get the thoughts of Nanajiman. Very shortly we'll also be joined by Mr. Robert Coleman. Robert Coleman is the CEO of Wembley Sports Construction Limited, who is the number one when it comes to construction of AstroTurf pitches across the country. Now, he brought up this idea of having an AstroTurf in every community. Governments have bought into it, and individuals and institutions have bought into it, and we're having quite a number in the system. We're going to get into those dynamics as well and see how that solution helps the whole situation, and how the maintenance dynamics of AstroTurfs and all of that go to help. Also, we look at all possible hazards and others, and how it helps the development of football. We're going to have that conversation right here. Remember, +233 55 11 11997 055 11 11997. Send in your messages to us. We'll be glad to have and to share with everyone else. The show is for you and all about you. The reason why we're having these big conversations. So 055 11 11997. Nanajiman, solutions. We're starting off, but however, we want to just do a general overview of what we've seen so far in the past week. Infrastructure is not good, so CAF comes in. They say this time we're cracking the whip. You cannot host a game here. Now we go ahead, we sack 2 appointees, and then there's an accusation about money that has been spent with no work done, and then government comes in to issue a statement through the ministry to say, listen, we've spent this amount of money, yes, however, this is the breakdown. Where are we, Nana?
Well, we're nowhere, Nat. Thank you very much, and a good afternoon to everyone. Ridwan, yeah. Sharaf, yeah, I'm waiting to listen to you, because the man has bigged you up, so you better come with something tougher than what I'm going to come with. Trouble. So anyway, look, I mean, let's look at the genesis. We had 2 stadiums initially, one in Accra, one in Kumasi. We did what little we had to do to keep that going. And at that time, specifications weren't as tight as it is now. So basically, we got away with it. A couple of handshakes to the CAF representatives and whatever who came, and everything was okay. Because back in the day, we played our local Champions League matches and Confederation Cup matches when we qualified for that. We played them at home. When we were to play at home, we played at home. It wasn't a problem. The challenge came with the first World Cup in 2006. This is when the problems came, because you see, and I'll try to cut across every time when I'm showing the example, because the politicians realized and the chief directors realized that they could begin to milk things out of our football. And so that's when, if you remember, that is when the first time it was introduced to the players that they will be paid some money if they did this or did that, the coefficient stuff. Every player gets 10,000 or whatever, 100,000. Everybody gets 100,000. That was when that concept first came in at the first World Cup, right? We know the party that was in. I don't care about that. Then secondly, having gone to the World Cup, we're now the hosts of CAN, and we automatically qualify. We needed 2 other stadiums. We single sourced the contractors who did that work. We sole sourced them. We didn't put out to tender or anything like that. We sole sourced the whole thing. Osafo Marfa was the minister at the time, the Minister of Sports. And so we ended up with 2 stadiums, Tamale and the Esipon, both costing around 38 million. There was supposed to be hotel in both those
Yes,
stadiums.
that is very, very true, Nana. Very,
There
very
were
true.
supposed to be hotels. There were supposed to be restaurants in there and other facilities in there, but none of them were there. They were all missing. And I can tell you from my own experience, because I was the technical director of Secondary 11Ys at the time. So I was down at Essipon. And there was a big thing going on between us and Azakas, who will control and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. We used to go there. And when I went there in the opening, two things hit me in the face. All the signs were written in Chinese, and the pitch, the grass on the pitch was suitable for grazing, for cattle to graze on. And I raised the issue there and then. And I also went to Tamale and did the same thing and spoke on air that that grass that is down there, it is for grazing. It is not for football. Even when you try to bounce the ball, it can't bounce. But this is how the thing started to digress, because money was being spent, but it wasn't doing anything. Yet it was going somewhere, and we were seeing some superficial benefits, and we were clapping loudly. Oh, we get new stadium. Today, we now know what those stadiums look like, right? So after that now, 2016 Cape Coast, 32 million. Accra Sports Stadium, 21 million. Baba Yara, another 21 million in 2020. 2023, back to Essipong, 40 million, right? And now the university stadium, another 33 million. And during that time, we've gone to 4 World Cups. And I'm just cutting across because I wanted to see how crazy this situation is. Now, in those 4 World Cups, we have taken home no less than 42 million, approximately 45 million. And today, when we say, okay, let's play the senior national team game out at the Soccer School of Excellence, the GFA turn around to you and tell you our pitch is not up to standard. So when you cut right across, a bunch of jokers, an entire bunch of jokers. The minister is incompetent. We know that the director generals always get appointed on a connection basis. Yes, they're highly qualified, degree for this, PhD for that, doctor for this, blah, blah, blah. Common sense, zero. Zero. Fine gentlemen, well-mannered, articulate, blah, blah, blah. No common sense. They don't know what they're doing in that position. They've been given that position as compensation for support or remuneration for support. And now they're in that position. Director General of Sports knows nothing about sports whatsoever. Same with the minister, same with the chief directors, because let me tell you, no matter who's in power, the chief directors always remain. That is one of the root causes of the problem. That is another one of the root causes in all the ministries. Because it's not just one ministry where money is being spent and the whole thing is going everywhere else except the project. It's not only the sports ministry, but sports minister incompetent from long time. There's a long stretch of them. Incompetent. Pure incompetence. They don't know anything. And the only thing is they politicize the senior national team, and they believe that if the senior national team, the Ghana Black Stars, should win the African Cup of Nations, they would be able to maintain another 4 years. And that's a fallacy. And that's why they only invest their time and everything and the resources in the senior national team. And they throw every other competitive sport out of the window. They throw it out of the window. It's pure incompetence and kleptomania and the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
All right. 9 yards. Today it's the kitchen sink, Nat. Because we've talked about many of these things times and times and times and times again. And I will tell you, you're a young man. And me, I will urge you, you're in a good position in your radio station. If not, you encourage other young folk to challenge these people, because they're going to run the ship aground. And we're almost aground in every department. In every single department.
Very well.
Look out on the sports media. We've been telling them about it. What have they said? We are not patriotic and called us different names and blah, blah, blah. But look at the situation. Yeah, I'm done.
Nanajman is also our guest this afternoon, contributing to the conversation. You can also contribute to the conversation. Remember, it's +233 55 11 997. +233 55 11 997. We'll be going round the table, like I said, and we will be bringing what could be the solutions to this problem and how we can just start tackling the areas one by one and ensure that we don't ever come close to these kinds of national embarrassments, because Ghana, like has been said, has a very big name. Ghana is positioning itself strategically in many other areas to bring in investments, to do all sorts of things. And if we're not able to just do things as basic as manage our infrastructure, then there is a big problem. But that is the reason why we've created this platform. We're trying to get the solutions, and we're trying to get them from those who've been out there, had direct experiences with the examples where we're drawing the inspiration from. And that's why we're sharing with all of us this afternoon here on the Joy Sports Link with me, Nathaniel Attoh, and the rest of the Joy Sports team. Now, Sharaf Mahama is a FIFA agent. He is also the founder of the Legacy Rise Sports Promotions Syndicate, which was launched a couple of months ago. And as things have it, he has been focusing very heavily on talent development and talent discovery, and is looking forward to doing a lot in the boxing promotion space, as well as also developing some players to give them opportunities both here at home and internationally. Now, he also makes use of infrastructure and pitches, but of course, we want to focus a bit on what he's been up to in the past few days. Sharaf, good to have you, and thanks for joining us on the Joy Sports Link.
Yeah, good afternoon, Nathaniel. And
Great.
good afternoon to all our guest speakers as well.
Very
and your
well.
viewers.
Very well, very well. Good to have you here on the show. Sharaf, you have gone around quite a bit. You've seen, some of the young players and where they train and all of that. You've had the opportunity of being out there as well and experiencing football as it's done out there in Europe and some places in America. What is your wish as a young man? I mean, you are the youngest in this conversation here. So we want to, and the reason why Ridwan, I guess, is referring to your youthfulness is the fact that at a certain point, you yourself and all of your generation will have to be managing affairs, in this nation in different aspects. And you've started it already. Now, tell me about your wish, what you wish to see regarding, the pitches that we have across the country, especially in the places where young people like you are dreaming of playing good football, dreaming of playing good sport, and taking it to the next level.
So previously I used to play football as well. Now I'm a FIFA licensed agent, but I also had some, a lot of kids don't have the opportunity to play football in, certain areas of Ghana. And if we can get accessible quality pitches to them, it will help improve the quality of players we, produce to the national team, to the international stage. So we must put like a plan together where we can, pick out quality areas that produce quality players for us to, get players to the national team and improve the local league as well.
Good stuff there. Now, let's throw the focus on what you are into this weekend as well. Since the launch of your event, you've collaborated with one other promotional syndicate to put out, to roll out one very big boxing bout. You're there, you want to be a part of the big one, between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. Tell me about the few things you've picked up which you would want to replicate as a promoter, as a sports promoter and a boxing promoter here in Ghana. We've had loads and loads of conversations about how you want to really do some big fights that will gross good money that will be put into the economy, so the boxers will also be successful.
Yeah, okay. So it's a big weekend here in London. The fight between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, it starts this evening at, I think, 9:30 p.m. London time. And they're both coming off two good victories. Joshua had Otto Wallen and he had Francis Ngannou. Impressive performances. And then Daniel Dubois had Usyk, which he lost, but Gerald Miller. And his last one was, who was his last one? But it was an impressive victory. And, they're both in good fine form heading into this fight. So it's a bit of a 50-50 fight. Yeah. And Rehab Season are the ones putting on this show, and this is the model I'm trying to follow for Legacy Rise Sports. Rehab Season are meant to be based in Saudi, but they're doing a show in London, and it's huge. I went to the press conference. They did it in like a church. Like if you see the production they're putting on here, it's crazy. The level is different, and it inspires me to bring something like that to Ghana. And also collaborate with people here who can also come down. Raise the level of Ghana boxing. To the international stage as well.
Tell me about, and let people have a fine feel of being here and why some of our boxing promoters and our matchmakers and all have to be availing themselves of these kinds of opportunities and pushing to get these kinds of opportunities to be part of such historic events. The networking available there, who you're able to talk to and all of that. Let us into that as well. So it could be a good example for all the other your colleague promoters. Yeah.
Yeah. So with promoters in Ghana, since I started my promotion, I've been available to all of them. The GBA, the GBF, other promoters. I'm open to collaboration as long as the end goal is to take Ghana boxing to the international stage, because that's my aim and that's my dream as well. Just even looking at things happening this weekend in London, I wish like my colleagues can also get the opportunity to come, network, collaborate, and just increase the level. And what I'm looking to doing is also bringing boxers from Ghana to London to come actually experience quality training. Because in Ghana, our training is very inconsistent. They must have different, varieties of training in terms of techniques, um, footwork, like different aspects of the training. They need to, variate it. Yeah, so that's one of the projects I'm looking to do out here as well.
Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, let's see how it goes. So, just before we let you go, we know you're doing a few rounds as well this morning. Who will you lean towards? I'll be asking all others. Kwejo Jima is with you in London, but who would you lean towards for this big one this evening?
I'm a bit biased with this one because I've been the biggest Anthony Joshua fan since I started watching boxing. Since his fight against Dylan White, I followed his journey throughout till now. And even outside the boxing ring, I'm a big fan of his. I love his character, his persona, everything. So I'll be rooting for Anthony Joshua, and hopefully he gets it done in 4 rounds.
Exactly the point. And I know Ridwan would have a lot to say about Anthony Joshua and long rounds and going towards the end of the 12th round and how it creates problems for him. But I'm glad you know your friend your friend Anthony Joshua. You know him well, and it's a good round to predict for him, because sometimes when it goes beyond 4th and 5th, he has issues and problems. Let's see how it goes.
And there's also been conversations about their personalities during the build-up. Dubois hasn't been too vocal, even at the press conference, he wasn't speaking much. At the weigh-in, you could see him like shaking a little bit. So there's been talks about, one or two things, like, because he's never been on this stage before. So let's see if he can handle it. But Anthony Joshua has experience on this level.
Great. 96,000 fans there at Wembley, and it's going to be a very big one. Sharaf, thank you so much, and let's have some more conversations when you return to Ghana. Let's see what we're able to replicate from the big experiences that we're seeing with our friends from Riyadh, who are putting together all of these big sports events.
For sure. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you too. Sharaf Mahama is a FIFA agent and also the founder of Legacy Rise Sports Promotions. He's there in London, and he'll be watching that bout between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. From his analysis, Daniel Dubois seems a little shaken, a little taken over by the big stage, but that could just be, reverse psychology. Who knows? Maybe. Well, let's get on the phone line and have a conversation with Mr. Robert Coleman. Mr. Robert Coleman is the founder and CEO of Wembley Construction Limited. Wembley Construction Limited, in terms of the statistics, have provided Ghana with quite a very large number of AstroTurf pitches. Now we want to get into the dynamics of AstroTurf pitches and what they add in terms of solutions to the problem we have at hand. We'll also address issues of some aspects of negativity that sometimes people want to attach to the availability of these AstroTurf pitches across the country. Robert Coleman.
City of those who have put in place to lead.
Okay, let's try to get him back on the line. Sorry about that. Let's get back to you, gentlemen. Ridwan, you were sharing some statistics with me, and we were talking about Frank Boahin, the CEO of Greengrass Technology, who has been given the responsibility again. He's been given the responsibility again to ensure that he brings Accra and hopefully Kumasi up to standard. He's been the man in charge of all of this. Before I come to you, let me get back on the line and speak to Mr. Robert Coleman. Mr. Robert Tete Coleman, thank you so much for your time this afternoon on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Nathaniel Attoh.
Robert Coleman has won many big accolades for this intervention. While it can be described as a commercial venture, it is also a social intervention because the issue of pitches is one that never goes away. You decided to come up with an idea, and many have bought into it. Take us into the dynamics of these AstroTurf pitches, the issues of quality, and what you have done when it comes to quality so that we're able to place the conversation properly. What you have done in terms of quality and what you feel we need to do going forward into the future, especially now that we're still having conversations about pitches.
Yes, thank you very much, Nat, and let me say good afternoon to your esteemed listeners. And let me also commend my very good friend and brother, Sharaf, for all the promotions he's doing. With a young age like him, and what he's doing to me is phenomenal, and he needs to be commended. Yes, as to the AstroTurf, what we at Wembley decide to do is to ensure that in doing this AstroTurf within areas that contracts are awarded to us, we first of all try to do a good work. In doing a good work, you need to ensure that where you buy the pitches are certified and approved or validated by FIFA. It is against that background that when we started, we decided to buy our pitches from Hatco. Then we navigated to Greenfield in Holland. Then we moved to CC Grass. CC Grass, as we speak now, is FIFA's #1 preferred producer when it comes to artificial pitches manufacturing and installation in
all
the
right,
world.
Coleman, before you go on, I would want you to repeat that element of the certified brands that are used for grassing AstroTurf pitches, because it's very important for this conversation. Please go over the list again.
Yeah. FIFA, in giving licenses to companies to produce artificial turfs, they have decided to categorize them into levels and into different categories. For they have those they have given license A2, they have people, they have given companies, they have given license B2 and license C2. And the point I am making is that when it comes to FIFA preferred producers, we have 7 of them, and which CC Grass, Greenfield, Hatco, and the rest are part of the 7. There are other categories that FIFA has given licenses to because they visit their factories and they look at the yarn and the fiber that they use in doing or manufacturing these AstroTurfs. And it is based on that they give them certificate A for them to produce for their clients or their customers. So the point I am making is that the major reason why Wembley, we try very hard to ensure that the work we do is different from what others do is the fact that we don't buy from companies that have not certified by FIFA. Because if you get levels correct, if you get your earthworks correct, and the grass itself, the yarn, does not meet the standard, certainly FIFA will not validate or certify that pitch for you. That is the major reason why we will always encourage, and we say that we try very hard to affiliate ourselves to CC Grass in China, who is known worldwide as FIFA #1 preferred producers when it comes to manufacturing of artificial and astroturfs in general.
Now, during my last visit to an English Premier League game, I was in Liverpool, okay, and at the time, it was quite a couple of years ago. Now, at the time, they were using a company called Deso, so they call it Deso Fiber. So Deso Fiber is a mixture of natural and artificial grass. I remember having this conversation with you about why we cannot have Deso Fiber in Ghana. Can you take us through that one as well, all those variations?
Yes, it is a new concept that, as we speak now, most manufacturing companies are now shifting their focus on. And Nat, let me be very blunt with you. The cost implication of what we call the hybrid grass, that is a mixture of the natural grass and the artificial grass, is extremely expensive. It is extremely expensive, and the quality is way different as compared to what we have when it comes to the astroturfs or the artificial turfs that we install in Ghana or in most African countries. The price is 10 times more than what we do here. So the question is that if you are to do some of these installations in communities where they will be using the astroturf for events, they will be using it for other parties, funerals and all that, and they will be using it also to play football, because what we do here is multi-purpose. They use it for events. At the same time, they also use it talent within the various communities. Are we in the position that much money in doing that within the various communities? I am of the humble view that we can spend that money in our various stadia, because FIFA approves for the hybrid system. Then we can use the astroturf within the various catchment areas or communities or localities where there's community football and all that. The last time when I saw a publication that we have been banned from using the Accra Sports Stadium and the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, I was taken aback. Immediately, I contacted Hatco, and that when you look at the hybrid grasses that they have installed for Liverpool, they have installed for a team like Tottenham, they have installed for Real Madrid. And you ask yourself, so can't this installation be done within these parks that we have, or can these installations be done in the various stadia that we have in order for us to play good football on? I get surprised, and they were to move from Turkey to come and have an inspection of what we have here, so that they can speak to the Ministry of Youth and Sports on how they can collaborate in order to give our various stadia a facelift. So I am of the firm view that, look, we must be in a position to upgrade the stadia that we have, and the hybrid system is there. We can use the various astroturfs that we are doing currently within our communities, because if you go to Istanbul alone, Nat, we have over 3,234 different astroturfs with different sizes within Istanbul alone. If you go to Barcelona, within that catchment area, over 2,000 and something. I have all the statistics there. That should tell you that they have also embraced astroturf, and they know that it is something good that can help them. But when it comes to the natural, their main, then they use the very expensive ones that are certified by FIFA. So I think we can also look at what we can do, get these people to come and have a look at what we are doing here. Then we can be able to use the hybrid system. Don't forget that the weather condition in Accra, in Kumasi, is extremely harsh. And therefore, if we approach FIFA and we tell them that these are the challenges we are having, because green grass technology, it is a very, very solid company. I know the CEO, I know the work they are doing. But you see, they are having challenges when it comes to climatic conditions over here. And that is why I am of the view that we can approach FIFA, then we get the hybrid grass, and then we do the installations within our various stadia. Then this problem of Ghana being of the past.
So clearly is a matter of financial muscle, affordability. If you have good money, you get good high quality, and that's the end of story.
Exactly so. And that the last time I heard people saying that why are we using a lot of money to do these astroturfs within our localities and our communities and constituencies, and we are not spending that money to do the various stadia. And when I hear people advance that argument, I say to myself, what a weak argument. You see, if we do the various stadia, we do better installations over there. The grass is very good, everything. And we are unable to develop community football. What have we been able to achieve? Because certainly, when you put up this stadia, your ultimate goal is to win laurels for your country, is to win tournaments. So if you are unable to develop the youth in the various localities, who will now metamorphose to be good players like we have the Kulus and all those people, how are we going to get solid players? So we must do them concurrently, and each one must run in tandem with the other. So if we are developing our football pitches, and not, I am not, and get me clear, I am not by any means suggesting that we should do astroturfs within our communities alone. If you ask me, areas that the weather is very good that we can have the natural grass, we should go ahead and do the natural grass and fit the whole place with floodlights so that at night people can play football. In areas that we don't have water, in areas that we don't have good climatic conditions or the weather is very bad, we can have this installation of these astroturfs there. Then we can also be developing people. When people argue that we should money to develop our stadia, to me it is a weak argument. It is unmeritorious. What I think we must do is that we must be able to channel funds to the various stadia. Then also we budget for community football development. Then we can say we are having a comprehensive and a holistic development of sports, especially football in the country. But to say we should spend all the money to develop the stadia and leave the communities because we are having these challenges, to me, it is hogwash. We must be in a position to set our priorities right, and I think we can do them concurrently.
Just before you go, the issue of maintenance of all the structures that you put up, what I know from my end is that sometimes corporate bodies, fund these projects. Okay, sometimes the district assembly, sometimes government institutions, and all of that. What normally is the plan? And briefly, just before you go, what is the plan when it comes to putting up a very solid maintenance schedule so that these astroturfs can last the prescribed time? Because normally when you go in, there's a certain lifespan that all of them are supposed to have, depending on how vigorously they are used.
Now, it's a very, very good question, and thank you very much for asking me. Nat, if you come to Wembley Sports Complex, I have a pile of letters that we have written consistently to the various companies that give us these contracts to do the installations for them. And when we hand over also, we try very hard to get in touch with those we hand over to, that they need to sign what we call a maintenance agreement, and we forward to them usage manual and all that. Nat, can you believe that you do this astroturf? It looks fresh. You give it to them. formal handing over is done. Then when you submit a bill to tenants, they are not willing to ascribe or accede to your request. As we speak now, if you go to a place like Ajengano, we use Ajengano and Bantama as a classic example. We handed over in 2020. As we speak now, consistently we have been writing to them that, look, this needs maintenance. This is a maintenance manual. This is a maintenance agreement. We need to do the brushing of the grass. We need to do infill, the SBR, the granules that we put in it. Occasionally, we need to do what? Do the infill and then add more to it. We need to do spraying of the grass to ensure that termites and all those things are done. We need to do regular brushing. You send them these agreements and they don't want to adhere to it. When it happens that way, what can you do? So the lifespan of these grasses or these astroturfs that we are installing within the various areas are unable to meet the lifespan itself. So if the grass is expected to last for 12 years, certainly you will do about 7 years. You need to change the grass and then come and then do another installation. So the point I am making is that when GMPC, Ghana Gas, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, all those Ministry of Youth and Sports who are doing this astroturf, when they do it, they must insist that before handing is done, the people must assign or must sign up to, because without maintenance, all that or we continuously do will not yield any meaningful results. And I want to use this your medium to plead that the Ministry of Youth and Sport itself must be able to stamp its authority and ensure that regular and effective maintenance are made in the areas where these astroturfs are being constructed. And I think when we do that, certainly we will be able to get value for money.
Coleman, thank you so much. Thank you so much for making time to make a contribution to the conversation. This is not the last time, and we sure are going to have some more.
Thank you very much, Nat, for having me. But before I end, let me also say that this issue about the fact that, look, let's stop the astroturfs and do the natural grass. I don't have a problem with it. I am an expert when it comes to, or Wembley is an expert when it comes to astroturfs. That is what we are noted for, and that's what we are championing. But that is not to say that we should stop doing the natural grass. But let me share this with you. Do you know that when we started doing this astroturfs, we started with Medina, we started with Wali Wali, then we moved to Chebi. As we speak now, the natural grass that was constructed or that was developed by the same Ministry of Inner Cities and Zongo Development, today when you go there, the natural grasses are gone. We have goats, we have cows, we have animals grazing on it, and they are all gone, causing financial loss. But as I speak to you now, you go to Medina, the astroturf is there. You go to Wali Wali, the astroturf is there. You go to Chebi, the astroturf is there. So the point I'm making is that let us blend them together, and then also let us look at how we will be able to do regular and effective maintenance when it comes to the astroturf. Then we can also get these experts, green grass technology and co, to also do the natural grass at areas where the weather is very good. Then we put in proper maintenance. Then as a country, we are good to go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Robert
Thank
Coleman.
you very much for having me. Now.
Okay, so Robert Coleman has raised some very key issues here. One, that of quality, that if you're going for this option of AstroTurfs, for instance, then you need to look out for quality and what FIFA has certified. Secondly, that it is a matter of the money and how much money you have available to spend. And I'm very sure that applies across the globe. I mean, when we're building our stadia for the 2008, AFCON, for instance, and refurbishing some, we had, all sorts of, budgets that were raised and all sorts of, financial statements that were raised by the people or the companies bidding for this. But eventually we had to look at costs. So it was going to come at a higher cost if we had gone for German contractors, for instance. So that is another point made. Now the bit about proper maintenance just runs across whether we're going for the natural option or whether we're going for artificial. So let me come back to you, Kwadwo. Clearly, the bottom line once again will be how we maintain them, because if we put up the infrastructure and we don't have a plan in the initial stages to maintain, then we don't have a show. We don't have we don't have a plan. We don't have a development program.
I just think that the most important thing, Coleman said a few things here, and I'd like to echo them and also add a bit more to it. We have to know that the world is moving into a hybrid era. Most of all the big football clubs, everyone is moving into the hybrid era, because even in Europe, at some point they find it very, very difficult to maintain the natural grass. Because obviously, in a season, you're playing so many matches. You've got a Champions League night, another night where you have to train on the pitch. Your opponent teams have to come train on the pitch. So it's getting more difficult and difficult, especially this season, where it's going to be a long season with the new format of the Champions League and stuff like that. So most big teams are moving into the hybrid system. I find it very, very difficult to understand when we say we don't have money for the pitches. I struggle to understand that. And for me, I don't see why we can actually come up with that idea and that notion that we don't have money for the pitches. It's just bad management. These pitches are run in such a way that they have good drainage systems. When last did we check our drainage systems? Because when you water these pitches, it's a hybrid, because it's a hybrid of natural grass and fiber. They combine, they make the pitch very quite smooth when they get watered and the balls run on. Now it's becoming difficult. We saw last season, Real Madrid, even with a new stadium, how bad the pitch was. Guess what? After the end of the season, they changed the whole pitch and relabeled the pitch again, just to get it ready for this new season. That's a football club that's very serious. All right, is Ghana at the Real Madrid level? No. But can we have a standard pitch? Can we manage these pitches well? Which management team takes care of these pitches? How much amount is being given to these management companies that manages the pitches? There's none. So the bottom line is, if we keep talking about these things, we have to look at the bigger heads, because there's nobody there taking responsibility for this. How much money does the FIFA give to the GFA to manage the pitches? How much does the government put in to manage the pitches? We as a country are not taking ourselves serious. We're not going to produce the best footballers, because now today we have the kudus. And we know how all these players are coming through. They're going through the academy system, going to Denmark and Norway, and the next minute we're picking these players from here. Brazil, as we speak now, players are being bought in Brazil for 50 million, 60 million, 70 million. Why? Because they've paid attention to their pitches. Do we have to do natural pitches all over? No. We've seen how it's been done in Burkina Faso. It's been done in Mali. It's been done in Guinea. It's been done in Senegal. So clearly there is a plan. We're all within the sub-Saharan African, and so it's possible. All these things can be done. We're just that we're not committed to it. That's what it is. Here in the West, and Nanajima will tell you, because he's a British man, he will tell you how much attention is being given to pitches here, even local pitches in neighborhoods and boroughs. When you go through them, you will know how much attention the councils pay to do these and maintain these pitches. Believe you me, there are a lot of things you cannot do on these pitches here. In Ghana, we're having concerts. We're having all sort of programs on these pitches. We're not putting good slabs on. We're not protecting the pitches. Our drainage system is very, very bad. And so these pitches are still stagnant. They're still where they are. If we keep doing these things for a very long time, I watched the Baba Yara Sports Stadium the other day. It wasn't just the grass alone. It was even the landscape. How bizarre could that be? A whole country like Ghana, a footballing nation like Ghana, and bad landscape for our normal stadiums to play basic football on. We have to start looking at people who are in charge of these things. They have to be more responsible, because if we're not responsible, we'll find it very, very difficult to maintain our pitches. And this is bad. where lies the next generation of footballers that we can look up to that can take the generation of Ghana to the next level? If we keep doing this, we'll keep going through the circle.
We'll keep going through the circle. A very important point made here. We are getting into an era of using hybrids, but of course, we are not even done with properly maintaining our natural grass pitches and our AstroTurf pitches. So the conversation about doing hybrid, sure, will be that for the future. We need to start looking at the basics now. Redwan, you're out there in Canada. Canada, then the under-20 women's team managed to get themselves further in the competition in the under-20 Women's World Cup. Unfortunately, they couldn't get through because it's now going to be an all-Asian final between Japan and the People's Republic of Korea. Tell me what the experiences are from there, what you picked up regarding day-to-day management of these pitches, and what we can draw from there in terms of drawing a structure or a proper structure that can get us to make this issue one of the past, and we can move on.
And briefly, I think green grass in this part of the world. Listen, if you are in an advanced country, ordering stuff is very, very easy. Now, in Ghana, what we have is that we've got the paspalum grass, and for that one it grows, but it's not strong. And then we have the Bermuda grass, and the Bermuda grass, which is recommended by FIFA too, we have to order the grass from the US. And the thing about this Bermuda grass is that in Ghana, you can't cut it below 20 mm. You can't cut it below 20 mm because when you cut it below 20 mm, the pitch becomes brownish, sort of. So, and that's the problem we have. And if no matter how you look at it, we're having serious issues with our climatic condition. That's why Coleman said we should look at the desofiber sort of grass, which is a hybrid between natural and artificial. But that one also comes with money. And I was telling you that we need 50,000 Ghana cedis a month to maintain a pitch in Ghana. And successively, anybody that has come, to power has failed to deal with this issue. And Anajman pointed, he was a bit, harsh and went on to say, common sense is zero. I don't want to toe that line, but all I can say is that what has happened is a reflection of us as a people. This is what we don't do. Maintenance, we have a bad maintenance culture. How many times haven't we heard this all over, that we have a bad maintenance culture? And, we always say the best of Ghana was in the past, because you look at the pictures that we saw, after post-independence, they look green everywhere. Facilities were in top shape. But as time wore on, almost everything has deteriorated. See, in Takwa, the stadium they built, they had to go 150 miles away from Takwa to collect sand, because the sand in Takwa was not good for the grass. And this is when technology comes in, when you bring in expertise. If we are only respecting expertise, we would have known and would have dealt with some of these things. And Anajman said when he went to Isipon and Tamale, he saw that the grass there was not fit, for the field. And that's what they had to do. They had to go close to the border to bring in, 150 miles away from Takwa to bring in soil just for the pitch there. And what has been recommended is that, they've told golfers to get them to buy them, that's the pitch cover, because of our drain system, etc. In Ghana, the pitch gets dry too easily, and so you need a lot of moisture in the field to hold on to water. Now, what have we done to our pitches in Ghana? We don't have it. We just don't have it. So, for me, the efforts, knowing one thing is another, and then channel resources into it. If we had funds, if we were going to put in funds in what we're doing, like separate and to the solutions, let's get a budget, let's pump it into pitch maintenance. Let's also cross-check and then supervise the work of those who have been put in charge to maintain the pitches across the country. And another solution will be, and I said it in my opening submission, let's isolate one stadium which is going to host or which will be hosting international matches. If we do that, then we are capable of saying, when any stadium or all stadiums fail us, this stadium can jump to our rescue. But just in a month, you know how many matches the TNA Park in Takwa, has hosted in just a month? 15 matches in 1 month. 15 matches in 1 month. What sort of pressure are we putting on the pitch?
The new pitch, the new stadium that was built by Goldfields Ghana, has hosted 15 matches since it was commissioned. Wow.
In 1 month, 15 matches. So where are we going? I think we have to look at the issues clearly, and then put in place measures to ensure that we don't get ourselves in trouble. Now people are talking as if CAF had put in specifications 10 years ago, we would have had facilities to host international games. No, it's because Musepe has decided to stamp his authority and then crack the whip and ensure that African the continent we invest so much in pitches. If not that, we're struggling. Like what happened in Equatorial Guinea in 2015? They had to import the grass from where? From Spain. Is it Evergreen or Evergreen? I've forgotten the name of the company in Spain. They had to bring in grass to help the situation, to salvage the situation in Africa. So Africa, we've got an isolated it's an isolated case, but also I think successively we failed to plan, and that's what has been our bane. And if everybody is now going to be eye-opened, we're all going to put in the effort we need to put in and ensure that resources are channeled towards pitch maintenance, and then we can bring in expertise and we have them, who will help in getting pitches ready for international games of such magnitude.
Okay, Ridwan Ibrahim Asante, there in Canada, bringing us perspective on this conversation, and also suggesting that we isolate one place and make it that haven where we play some important games, but also, most importantly, make sure that pitch is treated like an egg that we don't want to fall, so that the shells will crack. Let's get back to Nana. Nana, you've had a few solutions that have been prescribed around the table. I'd want you to also tell us what exactly you would want to see done from where you sit, with all the experiences that you've shared with us from being someone who has been in the thick of it, made use of some of these pitches, and seen the deterioration happen right in front of you after making efforts to have us better manage these pitches.
Well, I think the first thing I'll start with is because there's a few people have mentioned Frank Boaheni, and I know Frank Boaheni personally from his work in London, because I was with the Fulham under-17s when he was the groundsman, one of the groundsmen. So I've seen his work. He's been set up to fail because he knows the business, he knows what has to be done, and they've hired him, but they've set him up to fail because he knows what it takes to lay grass and manage grass on a daily basis. But when he tells them those figures, they just think, nah, we can't reach this, so we'll give you this. So make it as best as you can with this. And even then, they don't pay on time. So he's been set up to fail because he knows what it takes. But you see, in terms of the solution, you see, my brother here said something that was very important. You've got to look at the people who are supposed to take responsibility for all of this. Are they the right people? You see, you've got to take a look at that in the cold light of day. I know some fine gentlemen who have been ministers of sport and ministers of other sectors as well, but they didn't know what they were doing. And so they did the ministry more harm than good. And we're seeing it happen right now, but it's a continuation from whoever holds the baton. Let's put it that way. The ministry continues to deteriorate. And as I say, you've got the chief directors there. They're a constant. So when you're looking at the failure of, one moment, answer that, Sam. When you look at the failure, it's consistent with the wrong people being in post. So you've got to look at the people who's in there. The solutions are simple, but of course it's all about finances. But you see, football is a business, and all of them are saying it. Football is a business, football is a business, football is a business. And what is fundamental in football? It's the pitch. So if you don't have a pitch, you're not in football business, because you can't sell players, you can't market players because they got nowhere to play on. So once you accept that football is a business and you know the fundamentals, it must start with a playing surface, then you must get that right, or else you're not in business at all. And you see, it's okay for Mediama. They've got that new ground there, but I mean, it doesn't go very far. It's only got a 10,000 capacity. So even if the pitch is the appropriate size, the capacity will also deny its acceptance at certain national or Champions League, African Champions League matches. So it's just there. Yeah, okay, it's a step in the future. It's a very small step, a very small step. And so you see, what we need, we talk about all the grasses, but look, our sprinklers don't work at some of the stadiums anyway. So you've got to set your sprinklers in there. You've got to ensure that that regime is right, and you've got to purchase the right grass. And it's turf. It's not even grass. We are saying grass, grass, grass. It's a turf you purchase, and you roll the whole thing out.
Yeah.
And that is what we should be using, period, because that is the very foundations of the business called football. No pitch, no marketing, no player transfers and sales, no genuine generation either, because you've got nowhere to play. No one's coming to watch you. You've got no player to market because the players aren't playing. You're not in the business. You're not in football business. So this grass that we've got at all the big stadiums that we say, we can dig it all up because it's all inappropriate. If we're really serious about football business, then we're talking about turf. It's not grass, it's turf. That's
Okay.
what we require.
Okay. Let's come to Ridwan again. But remember, you can send in your messages. I'll be getting to them very shortly. But would activate the phone line at this time. The phone line, so I get some contributions from you out there. Some of you really want to contribute to the conversation. So I'd activate the phone line at this time and have our producers get some of you through. 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541, and 055 1111997, 055 1111997. Ridwan, by the way, Daniel Kofi Amwating says it's good to hear your voice. He hasn't heard you in a while. Today he hasn't heard you use any big words so far.
He sent you a text also. We were chatting. That's the big boss. Let me just get back to this thing. Like Nana Ajman was saying about Frank Brahim. He came in with a lot of expertise, and we've still not used him. Yes, maybe he compromised his stance. Now you ask him. The simple question is, and I've heard people ask me, why is Frank still at post when he can? He should resign then. If the people are not listening to him, then he should resign. But how can he resign? He came in to help a situation. He was contracted, and he feels that when he leaves, then nothing has been established. He's still being contacted, and as it stands now, he's the man who has been asked to go back and see if we can get the stadia in shape, any of them, to get approval from CAF. So let's get it straight that he's not a dinosaur in the business. He's still up to date. He knows his stuff. And the things he wrote, 21 years ago, or when he was interviewed 21 years ago, and let me just chip in. He says the temperature in Ghana in the dry season varies between 30 to 40 degrees. You have the coast near the capital, so it doesn't get quite as hot as inland. You have to take these things into consideration when planning for different pitches in different locations. I'll probably have to employ different methods for the inland and the coastal pitches, as well as using warm season grasses instead of the cool season grasses that I have been used to. But the situation in Ghana is that Ghana is suited for the turf, that's the warm season grasses. But most of our players say they don't like to play on warm season grasses and they want cool season grasses. So we still have to, once again, we are preparing the pitch for our players, and our players saying we don't want it that way. So we still have to talk about pitches in Ghana. It means we still have to talk. Now, he's done so much for the game that at a point in time, I know a Black Star player, when Frank was not paid, Nana Ajman said sometimes he's given 2/3 of his budget. Now he's got workers he's training and he doesn't pay them. Imagine they going for 6 months, 1 year without salary. And so sometimes when there are games, I know a GFA president Kwesi Nyantakyi will personally give him 10,000 Ghana cedis to help him prepare the pitch. The only time Frank was not involved in the preparation of pitches for the national game or for an international game was a game that has led to this whole controversy. That was the only time he was never included in the inspection or in preparing the pitch for such an international game. And that's cost us this embarrassment. Now we've gone back to him to help with the other pitches. I mean, how funny can we be as a country? How funny can we be? And the baton has been passed on. The sort of decay has been passed on from one person to another person, because Frank has been in Ghana since 2003. And we've got NDC and NPP all coming in. The same directors have been in place. And maybe we have to get people talking. Maybe they have to explain why. Why was Frank given budget that he, or the amount he budgeted for, and he still has been incompetent in giving us the sort of quality grass that we want? I don't think that's the case, because he's now being called, to do this. And the Takwa field, he worked on the pitch in conjunction with Micheletti, who built the stadium. So that's the sort of thing. We can't make bricks without straws. We can't make bricks without straws. We need to get the money in charge, and then we need to get people, to work. And that has been the challenge. And that's where we find, ourselves in at this point.
Okay. We were having an initial challenge with the phone lines, but we've had some sort of resolution to it. Let's go over it again. 0302216541, 0302216541. Please get through to us. Good afternoon to you, Charles Benoni Okine. Good afternoon to you, lawyer. Mr. Johan Amarin, who's a seasoned architect. Now, he sent a message. Mr. Johan Amorin has sent a message, and he reads, "I'm following your discussion. Good afternoon. I don't understand why getting a dedicated source of funding is not being discussed. Everyone is talking about allocation of resources. What better way to allocate resources than to have a dedicated source of funding? I've been advocating for a long time for Ghana to follow the UK example of using lotteries revenue as a dedicated source of funding. We have done similar things like the dedicated partial funding of the NHIS with the NHI levy. So my question is, what is the challenge in following the UK example? Please, I want to know this from you and your panelists." Thank you very much, Mr. Johan Amarin. Thank you so much for that message. Keep the calls coming through. We'll try our best to, get that through, and then we can get some of your thoughts through. Hello, good afternoon. Okay. All right, rather unfortunate. Okay. Kwejo, you've heard all the conversations. Now, there's one which talks about a dedicated source of funding, because a lot of the conversation, or a lot of the suggestions we're having this afternoon are bordering around having money as well, and having a good source of it, so that we can be consistent and we can have a certain source of longevity. Before we come to you, let me see if I have someone on the phone line. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Nathaniel. What's yours?
My name is Kasim. Please, first, before I go on, let me say good afternoon to your panelists, especially Ridwan. Ridwan, good afternoon. How are you? This is Kasim. Oh, thank you for having me. I think all the discussion is brought on the issue of the pitch, and I think that over the years, our maintenance culture has been very, very poor. Currently, if we have to put any resources, anything that we have to put in to be able to get our pitches right for international game, it will do Ghana good. We as supporters' perspective, if we look at our players playing on the pitch and their performance is become abysmal, we don't feel happy. Supporters are not happy how players play, and they don't get results. If it is the pitch that it has to be put in its shape to the standard of FIFA or to the standard of CAF for us to be able to get a result, that is what we have to do. As a country, I think that the focus on the pitch maintenance has not been best, and I think after all this issue, I believe that the current government and that of the stakeholders will ensure that right thing is done. I mean, we are not supposed to be in this situation. It is not something that has to happen before we gather our gadget to go in to make sure we put it in a good shape. I think that right people must be put in the home of affairs, and supervision as well must
Very
also
well.
come to ensure that everybody who is in charge of any particular any particular job must also be supervised to ensure that he or she is doing well, or is picking up the pieces. That is what I can say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. 055-11-11997 and 0302-216-541. Hello, good afternoon. All right, so we'll be getting back to that. Yes, Kwejo, you were making a point. Yeah.
So I think going forward, Nat, is very important that we come to a place where we know that, look, there has to be a budget for that. We have to look at accountability. We have to look at commitment to football, because Ghana is almost like a bedrock of football. Is where we find joy. Is that what unite us as a people? And so if this is what we love and this is what we appreciate as a country and have the talent for it, why not develop the talent? And so I just believe that if all these pitches in Senegal could be done, if it could be done in Burkina Faso, could be done in Mali, why can't it be done in Ghana? So we just have to pay more attention to it and then commit funds to it. I believe the FIFA also give the GFM money to maintain pitches. So we have to look at that money. Where is that money going? Who's in charge of that money? Why isn't it channeled into getting the right stuff done? Because all the pitches is very important. Nana Jima said something. Without a pitch, you can't have a football business. And if we have to get the next talent, if we have to give hope to the next youth and generation, we'll have to look at our pitches as well. Also, there has to be a commitment from the government on that part as well. I'm not talking about people sitting in office and then just writing something without knowing what's going down in the bottom. We have to make sure there's accountability, everybody's getting the job done, and so we can develop football. Part of developing football is not just picking the talents, we have to look at infrastructure, we have to look at scouting all the players, and also it's a big process, it's a big business. We talk about unemployment. This one form and one way that we can also create employment, because pitch management is a big business in Europe.
Great stuff there. Let me come to you, Nanajiman, over the next minute to also give us, your thoughts, your final thoughts as we wrap up.
Well, I think you've heard them before. We must take a critical look at the people who are in these positions. These positions cannot be awarded because I'm a friend of the president. It can't be that. It must be because I'm competent at the job that I do. I may not have the degree in that, in whatever you may want me to have the degree as a lawyer, for example, because everyone rushes to be a lawyer in Ghana. But at the end of the day, I must have the competency. And we mustn't also appoint people in the Ministry of Youth and Sport. And that goes for all the ministries too. If they don't have an iota of competence in that particular sector, it's just a waste of time and a waste of resources. And we, the citizenry, are losing out while everybody now wants to drive around even above the speed limit with police and sirens blaring. But no, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. So if people are really serious about football, the fundamental of it is the pitch. If you don't have the money to provide the proper playing surface, you are not in that business. You are to leave.
Very well. Very well. Thank you very much, Nanajiman. We'll come to Ridwan for your final thoughts in a minute, but let me just quickly read this message. Good day, Nat. Sacking the NSA boss doesn't solve the problem at hand. For the fact that the sports minister is still opposed means that we are not a serious nation. Information I have is that about $1.3 million can put each of our football pitches in good shape. Accra, Kumasi, Cape Coast, Secondary, and Tamale in perfect shape. Just look at the money used to feed athletes for the African Games for 3 weeks. Nobody can convince us that we don't have money to fix our pitches. It's just a matter of bad leadership. Prosper Dominion from Dakuman here in Accra. Okay, let's see if we can quickly squeeze in a call before taking Ridwan Ibrahim Asante's final thoughts before we wrap up the show. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay. Apologies for the challenge with our phone lines today. Very, very tough indeed. Let me get to Ridwan Ibrahim Asante for his final thoughts before we wrap things up here with some messages.
Yeah, and that is very, very simple. I think it's been, striking. The embarrassment has been huge, and we all know where we stand. Now the important thing is that should this government, should they remain in power, is going to be now they are going to be aware of the situation, and if they lose the election and we have the NDC come into power, at least now we have a yardstick, we have specifications. So the new person or those who be put in charge will now know that, hey, we have to meet a standard. And in all this, I think we have to say a big thank you to CAF, because the rot has been with us for a very long time. And if Mosepe and his team of executives, they had not put their foot on the ground, we'll still be playing on potato pitches. Remember that, see, pitches, we can grow the pitches, but we need to maintain it. When we had the Nations Cup, when it was fresh in 2008, what did we see, Nat? Claude Leroy said we had potato pitch when it was even constructed new. Wasn't that the case? Didn't we have potato pitch in 2008? He went on air. We saw the Nations Cup in South Africa in Mbombela. It was bad. The pitch was such in a bad state in South Africa. In Nelspruit. So we need a maintenance culture. We need to catch up. And for now, we are just behind time. And it's a sham.
Thank you very much. Ridwan Ibrahim Asante from Canada, reaching us virtually from Canada. Also, a very big thank you to Sharaf Mahama in the heart of London, together with Kwejue Jejima, also known as Passionate Man. Coach, thank you so much. Coach Nanajiman also joining us for this conversation from the center of Accra, having that global view of this conversation around how we should get our infrastructure together so we can avoid these embarrassments. And today's show has purely been about the solutions, and the solutions. Thank you all so much for listening. And before we go, I'd like to say a very big congratulations to the team at Zenith Bank for putting together the Zenith Bank Health Walk earlier this morning. So Mr. Henry Onwuzurigbo, the managing director, and the whole team, thank you so much. And of course, we're expecting Team Zenith and many others at this year's edition of the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament, which comes off on the 26th of October at the University of Ghana Stadium. It sure will be some very, very big spectacle.